young ladies who I didn't even know called a meeting at the local Ledyard high school, grammar school. And we went and talked about it. And everybody said, oh, this will never happen. It can't. This is America. These things don't happen in America. We own that land. I have title to it. Well, guess what? All the politicians, when we approached them, all cowered. And the newspaper started to call us racists because we questioned, how can this happen? Well, to make a long story short, eventually the state of Connecticut woke up. And how did they wake up? We kept after it and after it and after it. It didn't matter that people from New Zealand came to my house to convince me that if they can do it in New Zealand, they can do it in Ledyard. Harvard University came to my house and said, after all, we folks in Harvard have decided that it's the proper thing to do. And we stopped it. We stopped it by writing letters. We stopped it by haunting the politicians. And we can stop this darn thing by doing the same. You have to, thank you. You have to understand that what's going on sounds wonderful. So did the Indian situation. It sounded wonderful. After all, when I moved here from Ohio and I bought a house in Ledyard, I said to my dear wife, I said, gee, guess what? We're living around the corner from the reservation. Isn't that nice? Because we were very open-minded. We didn't know that all of a sudden a politician, Gagenson, had worked to figure out how to give them, and by the way, before I moved here, I was living here in a hotel, and I went to something down at Mystic. And who did I see? I didn't know who they were. There they were, Gadenson and Skip. So it was all put together. But anyway, that's another story. I've only got 3 minutes and I want to make it short. Just remember, you can do it. And what's happening today is worse. If you look at history, and I'm a student, I love it. If you look at history, Mussolini, the father of fascism, just read a little bit about him. You co-opt the industries. You co-opt the newspapers. You don't control them. You co-opt them. What has happened to General Electric? What has happened to General Motors? They've been co-opted. You know what co-opting is? They fear you so much that they're willing to support you. That's how Hitler and Mussolini both made it to their positions of terror. And that's happening to us. I suggest that what you do, and I can speak from experience because I find it very difficult to get letters in the New London Day. Very difficult. You have to start writing letters about the czars. We've heard about them. They are absolutely breathtakingly disastrous. They're the czars that want to control population. Forced abortion, sterilization of the water supply. How much more can we listen to before we decide something's got to be done? Write a letter to the New London Day. Don't let just one or two people write it. You write one. Talk about this guy, Cass Sunstein, who's recently been put into power. There's 37 of these, and these 37 are nothing more than a reflection of the Gestapo. And that's coming next. Believe me, there is a movement afoot through Acorn to establish an army. And it's not propaganda, it's real. And if we don't do something about it, we'll soon be having these whatever shirts, purple, red, whatever the devil they're going to call them, telling us what to do. So I would leave you with just one thought when you go home tonight. Sit down write a short, it has to be less than 200 words. And if you use names, I discovered, you have to use first and second names and middle initials, because the day might not accept it. Write a short letter. Tell them about Acorn. Tell them about these characters that are czars. I sent 3 letters to my 3 Congress and senators. No answers. Send them another one. I'm planning to. Tell them you want these czars the heck out of there. Get busy. You can do it. We did it in Ledyard, and you can do it in the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next one, Leon, come on up.
Let me be the first to promise you, tonight I'm writing a letter to the day about czars. I didn't want to come up and speak, but my wife pushed me. You know, I also got a prop with me, but my prop ran away. I don't know why am I speaking here. I'm trying to ask Nancy Pelosi to stop spending our money. I can't convince my wife to stop spending. How can I convince her? You know. I lived 35 years. I lived in Boston. And my representative was the biggest porker of them all, Tiponillo. The original patriots threw tea bags into Boston Harbor. He dug a huge hole in it and he sunk $15 billion of our money. Right there in Boston Harbor. They call it the tunnel. The Tiponillo Tunnel. Obama says that depriving terrorists of sleep deprivation is torture. Since he became president, I haven't slept a wink. You know? What are we going to call this? Torture. He's torturing us. Guess what? 3.5 years from now, when he leaves office, we're going to drag him in front of congressional committees to explain why he was torturing us. That's mental torture, sleep deprivation, that's torture. Well, anyway, I don't want to take too much time. 55 years ago, I escaped from Russia. This country is not Russia yet. I want to raise my children in this country. I'm not running anymore. Thank you.